Coming up in this edition of TV Black Box, Channel 10 has a bona fide hit. But what does it mean for ageing tentpoles on other networks? Be careful about writing free-to-air television off just yet, because there's gold in there, heroes. And we'll take you behind the scenes of a live television event. Welcome to the podcast where people in the industry get their news and love their accents. TV Black Box is about to start.
This is TV Black Box, bringing you the inside goss from the TV industry.
Hello there, I'm Rob McKnight. Welcome to TV Black Box. The panel's coming up in a moment, but first, it was on this day in history, television history in fact, that we first met Don Draper. Yes, 15 years ago today, the multi-award-winning Mad Men premiered on AMC in the US, set around an advertising agency in 1960s New York and starring John Hamm. The show ran for 7 seasons and is widely regarded as one of the greatest television series of all time. Let's meet the panel now. David Robbo Robinson. Almost gave you a sex change.
My pronouns are TV, television and broadcast.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I might put that in my Twitter bio.
Oh, God. Oh, shit.
David, you're here, which is fabulous. Mulk, who jumped the gun and spoke earlier. Mulk.
I'm just enjoying it. It's like, well, David, you're here. And then Mulk, he's here too. Hey, this is the worst play school. Romper Stomper, the worst romper Stomper. It's even getting better than that. The worst romper room ever.
Oh, I love Mr. Doobie.
Matthew, hello. Matthew Simmons, TV Black Box writer. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Good to have
back
you here.
Again. Good to be
Philip
back.
Koch, the writer for such auspicious magazines like New Idea and Woman's Weekly. He is the tabloid king's queen. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Rob, and I've never really worked for the Weekly. I think it's called Woman's Day. But
Oh, Jesus. I upgraded you.
There's
Sorry.
so many. Wow.
Oh, that was so
I'm really
good.
off to a great start.
All of that was great.
I know. I'm keeping it all. Don't worry, Robert. A bit of sad news amongst this frivolity. Sarah Monahan has actually left us. So she's dead to us. Never speak her name again.
Who?
Moving on. No,
What?
I'm joking. I love Sarah. She's
We all
concentrating on acting and doing stuff within the reality TV sphere, whether it's presenting, taking part. And I'd just like to say this. Please, if this is a true thing, please do not hold the fact she was on TV Black Box for so many years against her. Sarah Monahan is like such great talent. She's cheeky, she's clever, she's so energetic. She would be a great addition
Sassy.
to any cast. For God's sake, people, we do a podcast where we celebrate TV, we pull people into line, that what we think, we give you honest views. If you want lame-ass views, that, you know, everything's great. We're not your podcast, but we do this because we love the industry.
Yeah.
Give her work. Celebrate the magic that is Sarah Monahan. We will miss you, Sarah. Thank
We
you
will.
for all the years.
We do miss her. Yes, bless
Yeah, hard
you.
agree, Rob. Sarah's a great talent, and will be fabulous for us to see her on our Australian TV screens anytime soon.
Yeah.
But we'll miss her feisty hot takes here on TV Black
Yeah,
Box.
and I think that Sarah Murdoch will really be missed on this podcast.
Oh,
she
no.
Was no? Wrong name?
no,
I've said the wrong name.
thing.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh.
There's a little Easter egg for those who remember. But now we've said it, we will never mention the name Sarah Monahan again. She's dead. Door closed.
I remember when Sarah Monahan first came. Anyway.
Legendary.
All right, let's get into the topics because we've crossed the halfway mark of the year, and as Q2 programming comes to an end, the primetime race in Q3 for the commercial networks has well and truly begun. 9 and 10 both debuted their new reality hits this week, with 9 launching their second season of a rebooted Beauty and the Geek, while 10 debuted a brand new series, Hunted. Meanwhile, 7 has opted to restore some hey nostalgia with 2 red-faced specials. So just 2 came out on top. Well, I think you know the answer, but we'll go through it anyway. It turns out brand new was the flavour of the week with the Hunted premiere dominating its time slot with an audience of 619,000. It delivered even stronger results on 9/2, rising to 711,000 in the 5 cap cities, which secured 10 first in the primary channel share on Monday. An amazing result. 7's Red Faces special was next in the race, landing 592,000 on Sunday and dropping to 407,000 on Monday. It was similar news for Beauty and the Geek, launching at 476,000 and returning with a smaller audience of 405,000 for the second episode. Robbo, I have to say, at the beginning of the year, I called it. I knew Hunted was going to be a hit, and it grew its audience. Good on Channel 10. They've taken a new format. They've done it really well. They've launched it successfully. I'm really happy for this result.
I really am happy for this as well. So I was with the what we used to call the Blue and Gold Network because of the logo for 13 years, and we always wanted it to succeed. And that's the thing. Everyone at 10 really wants the network to succeed. It's really a team there. It's a family. And so when a show like this comes along and it does so well, you can bet your bottom dollar that all stations around the country are genuinely happy that, you know, that the company is doing well. This is a fantastic result for 10. I'm very, very proud of them. I think it's well overdue for them. And, you know, it was a risk to do this kind of programming. I know it's big overseas, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, we like to talk about the fact that franchises overseas don't always work, and more often than not don't work here in the Australian market. This is fantastic for them. They took a risk, which is what we have said on this program many times before, and that is there needs to be more risk-taking in Australian television. 10 has done that, and it's paid off for them. So he's hoping that there is more of that risk-taking moving forward with programming across all of the networks.
They didn't really have a choice, to be honest, Mark. The cupboard was bare. They've had to try a few new things. The Bachelor Nation is in real deep doo-doo. But this does disprove the theory that Channel 10 can't do a successful launch.
Yeah, well, have a look at their history now. Like, they have had some struggles, like 7 and 9 both have. However, in the last couple of years, The Masked Singer has become a pretty big hit for 10. And now we've got Hunted, which has done the same. A great reinforcement that they can launch a new format, a new to the market here in Australia format, and give it its own twist and make it authentically Australian. It's really interesting to see not only, and by interesting I mean really positive, to see that not only it grew the audience into night 2, and no question that will have had a part to do with the fact that it was followed by Have You Been Paying Attention, which is a huge ratings hit for 10, but also for the fact that they kind of followed their standard kind of vibe. We're pumped about it. Come and see our show. It's a big new thing, blah, blah, blah. And I think that they didn't overplay their hand. Like, the thing that and this is talking as a jerk outside 10, right? Who absolutely wants to see them succeed. And I have absolutely criticised 10, no question, when I think they've, could do better, quite frankly. This has been something that they have promoted correctly, that they have delivered to the market well. And look, it's not brain surgery. If you stop and think about the show, the wheels start to fall off pretty quickly, but they've managed to maintain across the 90 minutes of every episode. You just get sucked right into the nature of the show and this cat and mouse game that it's all about.
I love that it's just not your standard kind of reality show. It's not a host, a group of people, they're in a location, and that's it. There is no host. It's just this team of people trying to capture these people who are clearly, I know they come from coppish backgrounds, but they do feel a bit like actors. But I don't hate it. I don't hate that that's happened. So I just like that it is something different just in the reality market. And we already have such a saturated reality market for our primetime programming. This is something that is a little bit different, and to me, it's not really a surprise that it's worked very well.
It's interesting, isn't it, that 10 won the night because they had the doubler of Hunted Australia and Have You Been Paying Attention? Now, I have been banging on this for a long time, Robbo, about the fact that 9 o'clock programming can help significantly. And I do believe, and look, I'm banging my head up against a wall. I know the networks aren't interested. But
ring the bell.
To me, if there was a stripped show at 9 o'clock Monday to Thursday, it would be a go-to point for people watching TV, maybe even a destination point before you went to sleep if it was the right show. I've lost that argument. No one's interested. But that shows me 10 have that on Monday nights with Have You Been Paying Attention?
Absolutely, and you'd want to see that kind of risk-taking continue. I know that Working Dog are probably not very much interested in doing that, whether they want to strip that show, which we know that they don't. But the thing is, this is smart programming as well, which I want to say is... It's odd for 10 to be able to do a launch like this, but they've done it for this one, which is fantastic. What's the difference, we've got to ask ourselves? What has changed in the way that 10 normally launches? Because, look, not to be unfair to them, but it doesn't always work, which we've talked about here. But yes, Rob, back to your point really quickly. To have that kind of strip show at 9 o'clock, to have that destination, Have You Been Paying Attention is a destination show. To match it with Hunted was obviously brilliant, and they're reaping the rewards for that. But I just wonder what's changed, Molk, do you think, in this kind of delivery of a show from 10?
Oh, I think it's that it's markedly different, Robbo. Like, because the counterpoint is, what did it go up against? It went up against the season 8 premiere of Beauty and the Geek,
which is not a strong show, let's be honest.
Well, it certainly hasn't been strong since it went to 9. It did pretty big for 7 for a little bit, and then 9 picked it up. And this year, as an example, the premiere was down nearly 50% year on year. That's big numbers to drop.
But we also need to look at total TV when it eventually comes through, because
in
the
7
way
days'
people
time,
consume has changed.
Well, we could add in for each of them, a couple of 100,000 viewers for regional, and then nearly a couple of 100,000 viewers for BVOD for each of them, which is a fair metric to throw in. However, to come in at 8, 9 was a distant fourth in prime time. And then I think the biggest story is that it beat Hey Hey. It beat, admittedly, it's a big nostalgia brand, and this is a clip show of a show that aired for 27 seasons. So it to me, it says not that nostalgia is dead, just if you go to the same nostalgia wells all the time. Yeah. We're sick of seeing the same stuff. Because even then last night, the second part of the Red Faces special, we talk about 405 being a low number for Beauty and the Geek. 407 was Red Faces.
You only needed one night of that.
Pace. Yeah.
Simple fact.
But it was part of their big, look, Daryl, we've got more deals and here we go. I mean, sure. I just think we don't need to go back to that well so quickly and so deeply.
Yeah. Let's move on. And it turns out media and entertainment might be the one industry COVID doesn't kill. The latest PwC Annual Australian and Media Outlook report shows consumer growth up 6.23%, reaching $45.6 billion. The lockdowns across the country saw a huge uptake in streaming and subscription services, 11.8% higher than pre-pandemic. According to the report, Australian households have 6.5 premium subscriptions, forecast to increase to 10 over the next 5 to 7 years. Matt, we keep thinking free-to-air is dying, but this is great news for media overall.
No, absolutely great news, and to me, it is no surprise. Of course, with COVID, we're locked at home. What else are you going to do? Well, we say it now, and someone does test positive for COVID, and they have to isolate for 7 days. What do they say? It's okay. Well, now I've got a chance to catch up on all my shows. And so, to me, it's absolutely no surprise that's where we're heading.
Philip, it's great news for the entire industry, isn't it? The more money that's flowing through the veins keeps production going. And linear TV, we have to remember, is still one of the biggest money makers when it comes to the cost of an advertisement placement.
Absolutely. And look, I've cut back on a couple of streamers just last week because I thought, I can't absorb all this content. And I've found some good shows that I'd forgotten about on free to air. So I think we shifted to streaming in COVID because it just, it was very binge, it was binge television, and it was sort of a binge lifestyle, wasn't it? Because we couldn't go out.
Philip, I just wanted to ask you, what were the ones that you dropped? Because I find that interesting, because I often go through the budget and the bank account, which is never very healthy. And then I think, who am I going to drop? How did you decide, and who did you drop?
Okay, well, I'll tell you, I dropped Apple because
I did that too.
The content's just not there.
hard to navigate, and there's never enough for me to watch on it. And and I dumped Netflix, which was a bit of a wrench.
Wow.
But I've done that before too. Yeah.
I've spent so much time looking for movies and other things on Netflix thinking, how can there be nothing that I want to watch? But there was really nothing I wanted to watch. And what I wanted to watch, I'd watched. So it's not like it'll be a forever goodbye, but I'm going to do it increasingly now, dump a couple, because then you actually get the value out of a streamer. You start to watch everything you need to. And, it's not like the content's going to disappear. We all know that. It's going to still be there in 6 months' time or 3 months' time, depending on how bored.
And Philip Koch says a very big hello to the Netflix shareholders. They're loving that kind of stuff.
Make him a deal. Make him a deal. Maybe when advertising comes in, Philip will go in at the lower level and cop the ads.
I will never, ever do that, Rob. I hate ads. But I have taken up Paramount Plus, so I've been loving that sick.
Well done. Welcome to the 10 Love Tonight,
that
Philip.
Sick.
Loving that sick. The interesting thing for mine, Rob, and I think it's reflected in exactly what Philip gave us as a case study, is that we're becoming a little bit more discerning about how we spend our streaming media dollars, or where we're getting our content, or what we're doing. So I think through COVID in part, it was a case of, well, sure, we'll sign up. We'll take your 30-day or 7-day trial, check it out, and probably end up paying you some money month to month for a bit. However, we're now at a point where our time is filling up, and also we're looking at the bank accounts because, and this is going to be the real big issue and my major concern with that article predicting that we'll have, whatever it was, 10 services or 10 more by the end of whatever.
That seems a lot.
Well, with inflation as it is, what's the first thing that struggles and gets cut out of people's budgets when the belt has to tighten? It's all of this kind of, spending that is otherwise
discretionary.
Yeah, so I think the thing that works towards it is that we're used to it, and we might see some services hang around in our budgets or be the last to second last things cut, but ultimately they're the ones that are going to struggle over the next 12 months as interest rates only go up and inflation is wildly out of control.
Yeah. Well, we've been watching the race for the AFL rights closely, and this week new developments have seen Seven and Foxtel lock horns. The sport is currently trying to convince the two networks to up their bids for television rights to as close as $600 million as possible, in an effort to keep the incumbent broadcasters in place until at least 2029. Now, this is all because the Paramount-owned Network 10, well, they're putting up a potential knockout bid for all free-to-air and streaming rights for the AFL. Both Seven and Foxtel have signalled that they are keen to maintain their rights, and discussions have begun regarding what mechanisms could be used to entice either party to raise their bids. One option on the table is Foxtel showing more live matches of the local teams in passionate AFL cities Adelaide and Perth. Seven currently can show matches for those clubs in their home markets, but Foxtel wants the exclusive rights to those games. While Foxtel could explore showing the games on their KO freebie service, Seven is being steadfast in maintaining the strong rating Adelaide and Perth games, to the point where the West Australian did a front page editorial today warning consumers that they're going to lose their AFL rights because Foxtel are pouncing. This is how big it's getting, people. Seven and Foxtel currently have rights to show the AFL until 2024, but the league's outgoing chief executive, Gillan McLachlan, is keen to clinch an extension to the deal or a new contract within weeks. And so far, it looks like the AFL is using Ten's interest to push up the price that Seven and Foxtel would pay to retain the rights. This is certainly a battle between giants. Well, if Seven and Foxtel want to keep their rights, something's got to give. But here's the thing. Are the AFL after Foxtel to increase their rates, or Foxtel are saying we're not increasing them unless we get this, but that's taking something away from Seven, high-rating local games. That is not beneficial to entice Seven to lift their rate.
Yeah, well, because of the consortium deal, because of the anti-siphoning list, Seven have to run point on it because ostensibly all of the games have to appear on free-to-air television. Right. And they then defer to their partner, in this case Foxtel, to say, well, no, we'll take these ones, you can have the others, or however they negotiate their deals. And part of that is that Seven have absolutely given away the streaming rights in the current deal. Foxtel own them. So that's why we get KO and those sorts of things. Yeah. And you can't tune in to 7 Plus to watch the AFL. It's not a thing.
Can you do it live?
Sorry?
Can you go to like Channel 7 live on the 7
I honestly
Plus?
haven't tested it. I don't think so. I think they actually cut the broadcast and put up if you want to see this, there's other things on 7 too. You know, like that kind of vibe. The issue at play, of course, is the almighty dollar. And the AFL, understandably, Gillan McLachlan wants to get the best deal before he gets out of there. And with Paramount just absolutely circling with clearly American money ready to drop, Foxtel and 7 are in a really dire predicament. And it's not even Foxtel, it's mainly 7. Because Foxtel would buy into Paramount's deal if they could. Paramount aren't going to let them. They want absolutely the whole dice, the box, the dice, the game.
Foxtel have to team up with 7 or otherwise it's no dice. And here's the thing. What we will see from this is how serious Paramount is about the Australian market, because CBS knows that sporting rights to football, you know, over there, American football, but they understand how big AFL is here. If Paramount pulls this off, I said it's a game changer for 10. You add the AFL, which rates unbelievably well. You add a couple of shows, you get a couple of hits. You get Hunted. I know it's not as what it used to be, Mug, but it's still gotten 7 across the line multiple weeks. But you think about this: if 10 had Hunted and Have You Been Paying Attention, and then had the AFL, 10 would be unstoppable for a week. You know, like to the point of being able to win the week. Now, if
they can get some run on, it would be massive for 10. And the interesting thing in this is that, yes, the AFL numbers are down, and the real issue is that for 9, NRL numbers are real down. Like, their live-to-air broadcasts of, at least their linear numbers for the NRL are in the toilet, except for the Origin, which, of course, is a whole other box of dice. I loved in that Australian article that 9 have decided to throw their hat in the ring. We just want one night of the AFL. We just want to take some games, which is akin to the American football, gridiron, NFL model in the US. And at this point, the AFL won't be drawn on it, and certainly Foxtel and 7 won't. The thing that I thought was most interesting was the cracks appearing in the 7 and Foxtel arrangement, where Foxtel are wanting to say, we want to have all of the games all of the times, and 7 absolutely understandably going, no, we have to show the Adelaide and Perth games locally because they're such a big part of our schedule and a big part of our draw in those regions.
But also that kind of thinking screwed them over with the cricket.
Well, I mean, here we are again, right? It's the same old, same old. So the outcome of this negotiation is going to be super interesting. Yes, I think the fans will win, no matter who gets it, because 7 and Foxtel have the experience, and 10 are going to throw every single dollar they can at the screen.
And the simple fact is, Foxtel is not the only game in town this time, so 7 doesn't have to capitulate to get them to do it. Foxtel want these rights.
It would be huge if for the first season since Mary was a child, Foxtel didn't have the AFL.
Be huge.
Really quick question. Why don't 7 or 10 create an AFL channel? If it's that big in those markets, why don't they then say, we're going to broadcast it on this? That might affect the price they pay, but then they can also show classic games, which they've done before. You can often see classic games of AFL on 7 channels. Why isn't that then not an option for in markets like Adelaide and Perth and Melbourne, which are huge for AFL? Why are we not seeing them drop one of their 5th, 6th, 7th ridiculous channels that they have now that don't do anything? Why are we not seeing that kind of proposal being sent to the AFL?
Oh, 1 word, 2 syllables, money. The real issue, Robbo, is that the AFL retained the rights to the broadcast.
No, I understand that, but why can't 7 say, we'll give you a channel? Come to us.
Because 7 would have to pay a whole bunch more money to get the rights to play that stuff.
Which is what Foxtel do. Foxtel have created AFL channels. It's actually not a bad strategy, and an idea like that could get the deal across the line for 7, Robbo.
Sure, but the difficulty is for 7, as we know, they are not cash-strapped, but Warburton is trying very hard to do things more cheaply. And a big cost like this, where the AFL are clearly trying to ring
in Australian television.
I know, 100%, right?
But in fairness to him, he has turned 7 around. 7 was Seven was close to the wire. We have to remember how close they were.
It still has some big debts coming in. Like, they're not completely solved, but they're in a much better position than they were.
But that's my point. He has been turning that ship around in all credit. Sure. And of course, it is absolutely his job to be smart with his money and look at contracts like Cricket Australia and say, are we getting value for money with what we're paying out? And I do believe Warburton would walk away. If this deal gets too outrageous, I believe Warburton would walk away. And I believe that would be bad for Foxtel because Paramount will swoop.
At $600 million a year, it's almost too outrageous now.
Yeah.
Like, that's way more than Seven will have ever paid for the AFL. Remember that we were talking about the 5-year deal. It was $1.1 billion. This exceeds that.
And look, don't forget, the AFL will have a thought of better the devil you know, because they've been with Seven and Foxtel for many years. So
they'll be leaning into that. Seven and Foxtel would be leaning into that.
So, and by the way, a side note, these ideas and this bullshit that 10 wouldn't be able to cover the games and all this kind of stuff, it's just a crock of shit. Because
you can't measure it on their football.
No,
deal,
but what
right?
I'm saying is that they're broadcasts of these games, because the simple fact is the same people who do all these games now
that's right.
for all these freelance companies and these freelance OB trucks, simply instead of getting paid by the Seven network, will get paid by 10.
Yep.
The idea that the quality changes is bullshit.
The AFL film the football now.
No, there you go. All right. Hey, it was a big few weeks in TV while we had our break, and we couldn't leave out the ABC's 90th Celebrate special. The 2-hour event, hosted by Zan Rowe, Tony Armstrong and Craig Rucastle, showcased the impact of the ABC over these 9 decades. Looking back at groundbreaking programming, viewers were also treated to musical performances across the country and special appearances from Australian royalty, including Molly Meldrum, some guys called Roy and HG, Dr. Carl, Kate Blanchett, and many more. And what a birthday. What is a birthday without a cake? Prepared by Maggie Beer. Did anyone see this, team?
Yeah, look, this is the thing about the ABC, and I want to use the word here, fabric. And it's part of the fabric of everyone that's ever been in Australia, especially if you've grown up here. Sure, you might have memories of 7, 9 and 10, whatever, but the collective memories are those that you have with the ABC, both on television, majority, and also radio. But there are so many things that you could say to someone and, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Yes, on the ABC. The ABC connects us in a way that I don't know that we fully appreciate, but I hope that we continue to try and get into. I think it was fantastic. It was such a great way of celebrating what is a wonderful institution for Australia, whether you like media as much as we all do, or whether it's just, you're a casual observer. The ABC has been there for us in ways that 7, 9 and 10 never have and never will be.
Mark, I thought this was a fabulous special, well thought out, well executed, well directed. I actually have a lot of praise for this special. It was a great piece of TV.
I felt some of the writing fell a little bit flat for the three hosts
that in a live special like that.
It's also the ABC. They would have promised people things and pay
look,
them.
At times it felt a little bit too like a sizzle reel, like trying to justify what the ABC exists. But outside of all that...
That's also what television is now, though, which is annoying, because the people who write TV now are writing stuff that is safe. It's not written by people who love the medium. It's not written by people who appreciate the medium. That's my little rant.
But here's the challenge, though. On the ABC, they've always been the one that have proven that we will employ people that aren't going to be safe. They're going to give us some comedy that's on the edge or around. We just celebrated the 30 years anniversary of The Late Show. Nothing that they did was safe. As an example. It was a lovely, nostalgic look. If you can't be self-indulgent on your 90th birthday, when can you be?
Fair.
I thought the inclusion of Mark Humphries running around the audience and being their gopher was a bit of fun. And look, congratulations particularly to the ABC archival team, because without them, that whole program would have been not much.
Nobody's ever said to get rid of the whole archive team. They're just talking about doing it smarter.
No, but they're getting rid of
There's
the archive.
nothing wrong with that.
They're getting rid of a fair chunk of the
actual
archive.
archive. To the point
problem.
where, if you
Every
notice,
show on the ABC now is, we couldn't have brought you these clips without the ABC archives. Thank you, The Weekly. Thank you, Grew and Transfer. We fucking get it.
Well, it's an important
Jesus.
point to reiterate that with more funding, they don't have to cut the archival team.
Well, maybe they do. Maybe there's a lot of people that are having long lattes and afternoon teas because how much archiving are they doing each day? You don't need 174 people.
You can't
the
do
fact
that at
they
the
can make
ABC.
58 people redundant and still have leftovers. Oh my God! I'm flabbergasted.
there are no lattes being had at the ABC. If people
Bullshit,
who are
I've
employed
been to
there,
the ABC.
I've
They have
worked
a whole
to the
bloody
ABC.
latte lounge.
Rubbish.
This is amazing. I enjoyed the 90th birthday. I've loved all the stuff they've done to celebrate. I particularly thought that the musical presentations that they put together for that, mate, spot.
Oh, Missy Higgins out in the Outback was beautiful.
Even the version of I'm Australian cut through musicians and singers
Yes,
and
that
performers
was
across the country. A friend of mine was one of the lead drummers in the Brisbane cohort that featured as a part of that.
Oh, name
and he
drop.
said it was an amazing time.
You want to
His
pick
name
that
is
up?
Wesley Ong.
Oh, Wesley Hong. G'day, Hongy.
No, just O-N-G.
Oh, Ongy.
No, seriously, I just, because we've gone, as we do on TV Black Box, around the corner and back again, I do want to reiterate, you know, I've been a little bit down on some of the big event productions lately. I thought
Not
this
you,
was great.
Rob.
No, well, mate, you know me, call it as I see it. But this was great. And I want to leave it at that. No ifs, no buts. I just want to say, great job, ABC, and happy 90th. Now, speaking of live productions, I actually went to the finale of Big Brother last week. So that was one of the reasons we didn't do a show last week. I've got to say, it was quite interesting.
Why is that, Rob?
Well, a couple of things. Get a proper warm-up guy, for God's sake.
Ooh.
This guy didn't get funny until he literally fell off the stage by accident. And that once we knew he was okay, it was a funny moment. Then something clicked in and he did get better. He wasn't explaining to the audience. He wasn't really, at that point, engaging the audience. We had no idea what was going on. We're all told it's a live event. All of a sudden at 7 o'clock they're recording and we're like, what? Is this going to be pre-recorded? We're going to know the winner before everyone else. What they did is they pre-recorded the first segment and then we literally watched it replay on a big screen while they played it out at 7:30 and then the rest of the show was live. But the audience had no idea what was going on. It was really good to go to. The energy was fantastic. The audience were into it. We loved it. We had a great time. But there were no actual monitors for the audience, which I found weird.
Really?
So you could see the packages on the big screen behind Sonia because they would put them up there, but you couldn't see the camera cut, which meant if someone did a funny face to camera, the audience couldn't react to it because we couldn't see it. There was literally no monitor of the feed for the audience. And
That's weird.
I don't know what they were doing with audience mics, maybe a couple at the stage, but this was a big audience and it didn't sound big because they didn't have enough mics around. I found it really weird. What looked visually, I thought looked amazing. I thought it was a good production. I thought I actually quite liked the show. But as an audience member, I felt like in the studio audience, I felt like I missed so much. And this guy, I felt like because he wasn't revving up the crowd enough, I was putting on my old Studio 10 hat and I was like, whoa! I was going crazy and trying to laughing out loud, booing when Drew said bullshit. You know, like I felt like the audience are doing the work for you, Joe. I'll take your $500 check, thanks. I literally to the point I almost got up on stage and said, "You're done. I'll take over."
Wow. I mean, who would have thought that that's what you'd think? Was it a good night, Rob?
It was a great night, and then we went to the after party. I snuck my daughter into the after party, which wasn't done by the network. The housemates all had to...
Hang on. Whoa. Channel 7 didn't front for an after party.
No, the housemates had to find a venue and everyone paid their own way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really weird. But seriously, it was a great vibe. It's a good show. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Big Brother. But I just thought it's been a while since I've been to a live show like that. So I thought it was interesting to see it. I honestly, on the whole, again, really well done. Just a couple of little things that I thought interesting that they haven't put as much care into the audience experience. You know, it's a free show, but if you want more from the audience, you've got to be able to see what they're saying.
Well,
you've got to see facial
the thing is, the Seven Network is new to television, and they haven't had any audience-driven shows with live studio audiences, unlike the other ones since 1956. So
perhaps Seven's new director of reality television can write that shit, Rob.
Well, that's coming up in Hatches and Dispatches, and let me tell you, I am thrilled about that appointment because I'll tell you about that in a moment. But look, speaking of that, still to come on TV Black Box, a big promotion, as Malk has alluded to, at the Seven Network as it continues to chase reality TV formats. A man who revolutionised the industry retires, and we'll find out what everyone's been watching. This is TV Black Box, the podcast.
All right, it's time for Hatches and Dispatches here on TV Black Box. And the woman that Rob is so excited about, Sylvia De Souza, has been appointed to the new role of Head of Reality at Seven. She has previously worked as an executive producer at the network, and her credentials also include Endemol Shine Australia, CJZ, and the Nine Network. Miss De Souza will spearhead iconic reality shows, including My Kitchen Rules, Farmer Wants a Wife, and SAS Australia. After nearly 5 decades in the network, engineer Rob Breer is retiring from Seven. In the 70s, he was part of the team that developed the revolutionary race cam, giving viewers a POV shot inside motorcars, and he later worked on mast cam for sailing and dive cam for diving. There wasn't a lot of thought put into the names, but it's all cam. 7 News Sydney paid tribute to Breer, honouring the man behind the technologies which won awards around the world. And after 19 and a half years, Nelson Aspen is hanging up his showbiz hat. He has brought the glitz and glamour to Sunrise for nearly 2 decades, and in an emotional farewell to the team, praised Julie Andrews as his favourite interviewee and declared himself an honorary Aussie. It's also the favourite of Koshi there. Koshi loves Julie Andrews. And that is this week's Hatches and Dispatches. Rob?
Thank you, Robbo.
It's back to you.
And Sylvia De Souza, good friend of mine.
Big fan.
Sylvia De Souza actually is a good friend of mine. And I worked with her at Prime TV in Canberra in the 90s. That's how far back we go. And weirdly, my wife actually was roommates with her, shared an apartment with her. So to see Sylvia's career just go from greatness to greatness, she is such a nice person, so smart, gets television, and there's nothing I like more than seeing good people achieve in this industry.
100%.
She's one of the good ones. I love seeing it, and not just because of the personal connection. She is actually smart, and I love it, and I love calling that out. So congratulations, Sylvia De Souza, and we'll set up that meeting soon. Hey, during our break, 10 dropped their new shows as part of their pilot showcase on 10 Play. In the last episode, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we talked about our first impressions before they were released, and now the verdicts are in. As a refresher, their 6 new formats were The Love Experiment, Dinner Guest, Time to Die, Abby Chats, Courtney's Closet, and The Bush Blonde versus the World. Mog, did you watch all this? I've got to be honest here. I've been a little bit sick and busy on holidays and stuff like that, so I actually haven't watched the showcases, so I won't have an opinion here. Get me in. What did you like?
Check your excuses at the door, McKnight. I have to start with...
mate.
Well done. I have to start with an apology. I really enjoyed Dinner Guest, the one that I said, who needs to hear what,
that was you were down on it.
Because it just sounded like it's just women at a dinner party, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was obviously going to be an intelligent conversation because the women involved are intelligent women. And I think my only concern for the longevity of it becoming a series is finding that right fourth person. It would be a different dynamic, for example, with a gay man or a straight man in that guest, kind of chair in the conversation, as opposed to, in the case for this one, Patricia Carvallis, who is a good friend of at least 2, if not all 3 of the ladies involved. It was just a chat between friends. So that was lovely. I think it's got some legs. really critically, the guest would be the thing that makes or breaks that show moving on. For the rest of them, Time to Die stood out for me. I loved it, but then I'm a comedy fan. I really enjoyed seeing comedians deliver really bad comedy and have to just wear that on their chin. It was really good. Everything else was a bit boring and same. And even to the point where I thought that, look, I know that there's a lot of love for Abby Chatfield around the traps. I thought that her Abby Chats program was just, let's be as sensational, as crazy as we can, and that's it. There was no substance to it.
Sarah Monahan said I'd enjoy that one, but she didn't explain why.
She visits a porn set.
Okay.
You got him in.
Oh, it was interesting to note that on 10 Play, when you go to look for the showcase, it can only show you 5 of the 6 programs. So if you are unaware there's a slider, you're going to miss Bush Barbie versus the World, which is hidden away on the click over to the next part of the page. Would that be a bad thing? It wasn't great. So you're not really missing much.
I saw clips of it. This is what's
Nikki Osborne is an excellent stand-up comedian.
Fine, but this is what's wrong.
I don't know that this was great.
This is what's wrong with Australian television. The fact that this gets approved to go on any kind of... It's a YouTube channel.
Calm down. It's just a pilot.
Yeah, but it's a YouTube channel at best. If that's all we've got to offer up for Pilot Week, there's a serious problem in this country.
I think there's some gems in it, but they all need some work to get anywhere. Just some need a whole lot more work than others if they're going to get up.
Any other thoughts on Pilot Week? No, quiet from the panel. I will be taking a look as soon as I possibly can. Get back to you next year. No, joking. I just like to throw some gags in occasionally. Keep it light with McKnight. All right.
God, don't even.
Before we wrap this sucker up, let's do a proper binge box. And new rules, people. You're only allowed to name 2 shows, but because it's a new format, I will allow 3 mulk. And we've told Philip he can't tell us who the florist was on the set of a film anymore. So, got a bigger laugh in the pre-prod meeting.
Can I suggest something? Can I suggest we... okay.
Thanks for your contribution. And we want to do this live.
Valuable as always, Robert.
We've actually talked about doing this as a live video stream on YouTube going forward, and that now, Robbo, gives me the fear of God. Okay, let's find out what everyone's been watching. Philip, hello.
Hi, Rob. I'll try and be as brief as possible. As mentioned, I've signed up to Paramount Plus, so there were a few things I wanted to watch. 1883 was probably top of the list because I'm a huge Yellowstone fan. Weirdly, you don't get the Yellowstone vibe from it, so I found that a bit annoying. The show itself is actually brilliant and so watchable. It's more like a cinema experience than a TV show, so I highly recommend that one. And on the downside, one show not to watch on Paramount Plus is FBI International. It's part of the Dick Wolf FBI franchise. It's pretty much an abomination of a TV show. It's the worst police procedural show I've ever seen. It's FBI agents telling the world how to do their job. They have an Australian character in one episode who says Sheila quite a lot. It's just,
is that Julian McMahon?
It's seriously like the producers had a work experience kid or so. I just don't even know how to explain it. That's my binge box for this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. Well done. But who was the director? Oh, yeah, you did get it in.
Creator, not necessarily director.
Matthew, what have you been watching?
I mentioned Hunted earlier. I thought it was a unique concept, so that was really good. But my 2, it's all Netflix for me. Man vs. Bee with Rowan Atkinson. Oh, yeah. Pretty much Mr. Bean fighting a bee. Like, who could say that's bad? I thought it was great.
Stand back, fellow settlers.
Really? Oh, okay. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. There's nothing to really fold about it for me. I thought it was just good fun. So if you're there to critique it, maybe you have a different opinion.
Oh,
and then my other one is Stranger Things Volume 2. Only 2 episodes, but I don't know, maybe like 10 hours of content. But that was just, again, a nice finish to the 4th season. I'm really looking forward to the 5th and last. If you've been listening to us bat on about it and you've been going, I might check that out, now's your chance. This is your final reminder. Get in on it. It's the 80s. What else could you love? Get in on it and don't let
Second last reminder, Matthew, but sure.
Do you know what I love with that series? Kate Bush has become this big thing like, people listen to this music. No, people didn't listen to Kate Bush. We all thought she was mad and her songs were weird.
Right.
Now, having said that, listening back now, I go, it's not too bad. I actually quite like her. But I'm going to be honest, at the time, I just thought she was this weird person from England. I'm going to be honest. Anyway.
I've heard Rob saying that we all when he means him.
Good on you, Kate. Sending much love.
She's a big listener. She loves it. Never misses an episode.
Friend of the show, Kate Bush.
It must be the meds.
From the Big Brother finale? Are we coming down? Or?
He's a good.
Yes.
I'm a bit sick.
He's got the sniffles.
Anyway, I did watch Stranger Things, but that's not on my list. Just agreeing that was a good one. I haven't watched a lot because I have been sick, and it's weird when you're sick and lying in bed. You find yourself watching things like The Big Bang Theory
Comfort
because
shows.
you just want to be able to just fall asleep, and that's okay.
Well
you know
done,
what I mean?
Robbo.
But yes, I did watch Stranger Things and The Boys, which I thought was fantastic.
I need to watch
love that series so hard. And
Did you see they've announced a spin-off, Rob?
Yes.
The girls?
Though I'm not actually interested. Not interested.
Oh, in girls?
You're not
stage.
interested in seeing younger, more lithe, essentially superheroes at college getting it on?
Stuff I'm giving, but yeah.
You know what? I love the storyline of The Boys, and that's what appeals to me. I'll probably give it a go, but I'm not hooked that they're doing a spin-off. I'm just not. And the other one is, and we've got a new rule that we're not allowed to mention previews too far ahead, but it's only been introduced this week, so I'm going to do it. I watched After the Verdict, coming soon to Channel 9, and I've got to say, I think you guys know, Australian drama, take it or leave it. This is great. This is one of the best things I've seen of Australian television in such a long time. I think this is great. It takes me in unexpected directions. I think I know where things are going to go. This is unexpected. It's entertaining and a great storyline. This is an unmissable Australian drama, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't watch it.
It sounds like you're talking about what I like to call a twist. There are twists in the program. Is that what you're saying?
There are twists and turns, and it's. Look, I don't know when. I don't know when the embargo's due but I'm saying nice things, so hopefully 9 are okay with that, and I'm not giving any details. I just think it's a great.
Is it on 9, Rob?
It will be on 9 soon.
Is that the same company you work for?
You know what?
It is. Look, no, I was being a smartass. Play on.
Robbie, what's your verdict?
It's guilty for being great TV.
Good job.
Thank you. I finally got there. Mum.
I've watched Stranger Things season 4 as well on Netflix, and it was as enjoyable as has been mentioned. I'm with Matthew. Go and watch it.
Did it need a series 5?
Yes. It needs a conclusion. It
Well, we're
needs
gonna
everyone to
get a
come
series.
together.
Yes. Well, they just arrived back together. We're going to see it all happen. Ms. Marvel on Disney Plus was an excellent addition to the MCU. I watched George Carlin's American Dream on Binge, which is a 2-part documentary that goes for ages about great American comedian George Carlin. And I watched a documentary that is coming to Disney Plus next week called Light and Magic, all about the creation of George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, and it's very great. The two that I wanted to talk about is Snowflake Mountain on Netflix. It is very funny, so contrived. The basic premise is that there's 8 very privileged, very spoilt young adults that are put out in the middle of the wilderness with 2 wilderness warriors and told to get on with their lives and learn how to toughen up. And there's all of the reactions that you would expect. It's very funny. That is on Netflix.
Sorry, Mo. Didn't we say 2 only? You listed 4 and then said, now these are the 2 I'm going to talk about.
These are the 2 I'm going to talk about.
I'm ringing the bell. You're on the warning.
The final show that I want to talk about is available right now on Binge and Fox Showcase. It's called The Rehearsal. If you ever saw a TV show called Nathan For You, created by an American comic called Nathan Fielder, who specialises in awkward comedy, weird kind of situational moments that you just kind of cringe your way out of. It's very, very funny.
Just filmed the TV Black Box podcast.
Almost. The basic premise for The Rehearsal is that Nathan sets up a perfect environment. You might have to communicate something important to a friend. And so Nathan's premise is that always gets better in real life when you've had the chance to rehearse it and to war game every possible outcome scenario for that conversation before you have it, so that when you go in, the conversation will be very easy because you're prepared. That's the premise. It goes to some of the weirdest places you have ever thought of. It's dropping week to week on both Binge and Fox Showcase. I cannot recommend it more highly to you. The Rehearsal is comedy that will change your life. It's so funny.
Mulk, I will take a look at that. And that brings us to the end of TV Black Box. I've been Rob McKnight, joined by Mulk, joined by Matthew Simmons, joined by David Robbo Robinson, and the one and only Philip Kosh, the writer extraordinaire. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week on the TV Black Box podcast.
What bullshit is this?
Why are you shaking your head when I say writer extraordinaire? That's from the heart.
Well, I know, but no one else seemed to get a whatever that was.
Because you're special, Philip.
You were my favourite this week, Philip. I play favourites.
You're the special
that's
guest
right.
for the week.
When he gives you that, you just fucking take it.
Mate, it doesn't happen often. Take it while it's there.
Exactly.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much. You're too kind.